playing more games on more devices than ever before. It's truly an exciting time for the gaming industry. Come this holiday, Sony will once again have the opportunity to shine a light on the world of PlayStation with our next generation console.
Where you are now.
Hey guys, Apollo back with another video. Thanks for coming to the channel. Please subscribe, helps the channel out. Today I want to talk about next generation game consoles. And you've heard me do a breakdown of the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. But I just want to get a message out there to the fan base to try and be humble. And what I mean by that is, try not to expect too much from this next generation. And I'll tell you why. Let's go back in time, shall we? Where we saw the Sega Saturn, the Dreamcast, the original PlayStation. The original PlayStation had a CPU of 33 megahertz. The PlayStation 2 had a CPU, next generation, which is 10 times that high, which was 333 megahertz. We then go into the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, which had CPU of 3.2 gigahertz. So consoles were being increased in generations by a factor of 10. And that made a huge difference until we really got to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Because those consoles relatively didn't have a big jump in CPU. In fact, the CPUs held the consoles back a great deal because they didn't make that massive jump forward. What they really focused on was jumping from 720p gaming to 1080p gaming. And the Xbox One really struggled with that because of Kinect. So here we are, guys, walking into the next generation. One built for speed, PlayStation 5 with a massively fast 5.5 gigahertz a second hard drive, and the PlayStation is gonna do well with that. Versus the Xbox Series X, which is by far the most powerful console in terms of just raw data. Now, the CPUs, which was being such a letdown in the current generation, those CPUs are going to be running relatively higher clock speeds, not by much. When we talk about 3.2 gigahertz, the Xbox is 3.8 and PlayStation is 3.5. So it's not going to be much difference, but the difference is they're going to be based on up-to-date CPUs, which are about 4 times more powerful than the x86 that we're currently using in the Xbox One and currently in the PlayStation 4. So this isn't a factor by 10. That's the first thing. The GPU, which is the most important part of the graphical side, the PlayStation 5 is going to be 9.2 teraflops, and when boosted, 10.3 teraflops. So that's basically going to be quite a big jump over the PlayStation Plus's 4.2 teraflops. But when you take the all-powerful Xbox Scorpio, the Xbox One X, that's 6 teraflops now. That's already hitting 4K native. That's already hitting games at 60 frames. Halo 5, to name just one. Also with Doom and plenty of other games. But here's the joke, guys. The all-powerful GPU in the Xbox Series X is 12 teraflops. It's only twice as powerful as the Xbox Scorpio. So here we are. We're walking into the next generation. We're seeing all these wonderful graphics and we're seeing all these wonderful specs. But the truth is, the CPU is only 4 times powerful and the GPU is only twice as powerful. We're no longer hitting that 10 times more powerful. And because of that, I just want everybody to curb their expectations, because already there's a few tech demos that have come out and people have already turned their nose up at it. Now let's be clear, Unreal Engine 5 is going to be one of the best APIs in conjunction with Xbox's DirectX 13. We're looking for a lot of magic as far as that goes. But guys, the games are roughly going to be playing in the same way and looking as good as they ever did, even in the old generation. My Xbox One X, Xbox Scorpio, as I said, is already hitting 4K and 60 frames on certain games. Let's move this argument now to the PC. PC gaming has never really looked for graphics because they've always had it. You've always had good graphics on a PC. What PC has always been looking for is two things. One thing is performance, which is the frame rates. Unlike consoles, PC games are locked at 60, 90, 120 frames, and that's why a lot of people find PC games unparalleled to anything else. But of course, consoles will catch that up in the next generation. But where PC games really, really hit their sweet spot is one thing and one thing only, and that's running games in ultra graphics. What I mean by ultra graphics, PC gamers know very well. Now, PC gamers get to choose their games in low, mid, high, and ultra settings, and that is all dependent on your graphics card. Now, you can have a graphics card from £50 all the way up to the 2080 Ti, which runs games at a native 4K. But the difference in the settings is how much lighting you have in the game, how much of the effects, particle effects, ray tracing, textures, and as I said, you know, shadowing as well. All of those things makes a huge difference to the realism of the game and the graphics. It doesn't work like it does in consoles where we used to use 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, 64-bit, and now we're talking about teraflops, which is the measurement for consoles. PC gaming is completely different on that, because you can have a setting. Listen, console gamers like me game in 4K. Many PC games, 90% of PC gamers out there are gaming in 1080p or 1440p. That's not 4K, that's 2K. But the difference is they've got all the effects of the graphical effects switched on to full ultra settings. And that's why they're able to enjoy these games, because you're enjoying them with the most effects and at the best frame rates as well. So with console gaming, when I'm saying to you to temper and pamper your expectations of this generation, what I mean by that, guys, is we're not going to be seeing the big jumps in GPU. We're not going to be seeing the big jumps in CPU. But what we are going to be seeing is we're going to be seeing games running at the frame rates and the 4K that we've been talking about, but running at much higher settings. Because the argument was in this current generation with the Xbox Scorpio, again, Xbox One X, is that yes, it shows games in 4K, yes, it shows games at 60 frames, but only at medium to high PC settings, not at ultra. So anytime Digital Foundry has done a comparison running to a high-end PC, you always see the PC's effects, graphical effects, much better. My point stays as this: a 2080 Ti graphics card is a minimum of £700. Yeah? The Xbox Series X is going to cost less than that. And the PlayStation 5 is going to cost less than the Xbox. And you're able to achieve those kind of settings, those kind of speed, those kind of graphics for less than the price that you would pay for a PC graphics card. Not a PC, just the graphics card. So respect is given, because consoles have finally got to the point, they've got to the pinnacle of gaming where most PCs haven't even adhered to at this point. So that's where we are on that, guys. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this, because it's very important. A lot of bad feedback from these tech demos coming from the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 of late. And I just want to make sure you guys have got your right hat on when it comes to focusing on what your expectations are. Don't have over expectations with these things. Understand that these are not incremental upgrades. They are big, huge upgrades. Of course, when you're kind of surpassing what PCs are showing, then of course it has to be. Because as I said, 90% of other PC users game at 1440p or 1080p. Console users are now going to be locked at 4K, locked at 60 frames. So from that standpoint, you're already over and above where you need to be in terms of resolution. PC gamers upgrade all the time. And it's these little upgrades. They'll change the CPU and they'll get a boost in power. They'll change the GPU and sometimes only get a 10% boost in power. Because if you're used to changing your GPUs every 2 years, then you're only going to see that slight differences in graphical power. So as a console user, don't expect too much. That's my message for you guys out there. Like and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate it, guys. All the following and the support from you guys. And let me know what your thoughts are. Peace, and I'm out.